Hey everyone, I am so privileged and happy to be here with you all. It's always a joy being with this group, and thank you so much to Kina and to Marty for the privilege and the opportunity to share with you. And I hope that the information that I share will be of benefit, and that you can walk away and go and apply some of these steps that I'm going to suggest to optimize your gut health. So we're going to be speaking about a healthy gut today. And I'm not going to be giving you the biology side. So you can go and Google and you can go and see, what is the process of digestion, and go and do a little bit of a biology class online. I will speak about the first process of digestion, which starts in the mouth, and how important it is to chew your food. That's why our grandmother always said to us, chew your food 15 times before you swallow it. So just a little bit about myself. As Kina said, I'm not a registered dietitian. So before you make any lifestyle changes, or before you add any supplements, it's always important to consult your registered healthcare provider or your registered dietitian. And so the information that I will be sharing with you this afternoon is for educational and informational purposes. And I really believe in equipping people with knowledge. Knowledge is power. And I believe that when you are knowledgeable about a certain subject, you can make your own informed decisions, and you can ask questions. So that's my heart, and my passion is to educate on a very practical level. I've been in the wellness industry for 23 years. I am a nutritional consultant and a wellness coach, and it is really my passion, my gifting and expertise to walk a very practical road with people. So we all know that kale is good for us, right? But most people don't like kale because they don't know how to prepare it. And so my heart is to come alongside of people and show the people how to prepare the kale so that it is more palatable, so that even your 6-year-old grandchild or child and your picky husband will eat it. And I've had that experience. I'm sitting here in Lere's barn. It is where I work. It is just a wonderful old barn that we have on our property that over a period of 4 years we breathe life back into, and it is a state-of-the-art kitchen and just a facility where I very practically teach people how to eat healthy. And so with the whole COVID thing that hit us, because of the size of my barn, I am just not able to have people in here. And we're going to go online, so you can be monitoring my website, aliveagainonline.com, and following me on Facebook, Alive Again LLC, or Instagram, Alive Again LLC. I'm also going to we're busy doing a first pilot course. We're going to do a intro to healthy eating with 3 segments. It's going to be very hands-on. It's going to be packaged, and you can buy the package, and that'll be available in probably the next 4 or 5 weeks. So great stuff coming. You can now join from the comfort of your own home and cook with me right here through the screen in Lere's barn. So I'm going to get right to it. I've made some notes, and I can share some of these notes with anyone that wants. I can just put it in an attachment on email, but I really wanted to do notes because there's so much to cover, and I don't want to lose I want to keep my thoughts ordered. That's what I'm trying to say. So, okay, so why is the digestive system key to your health? Why? The digestive system, 3 points, is where most nutrients enter the bloodstream. It's critical for detoxifying and keeping the body clean so that you don't have autotoxicity. And it is where the fuel for the body's energy enters the system. And it also adds to and improves the immune system. So I always love to give a little bit of statistics. So when I speak about healthy, refined or processed or hidden sugars, I always like to give statistics. How much sugar did they used to eat at the turn of the century versus today? I mean, these things are just eye-opening. So just a few statistics with regards to digestive health. An estimated 60 to 70 million Americans are affected by digestive disorders. 60 to 70 million. According to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. Spending on GI disorders in the US has been estimated at 142 billion per year, indirect and direct costs. That's according to Medscape. Colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related death in men and women. 90% of new cases occur in people 50 years and older. On average, your risk is about 1 in 20, although this varies widely according to individual risk factors. 60 to 80% of the world's population has worms, parasites in their intestinal tract. And so that's an absolute lecture that I do on another day, because somehow we think that we live in a westernized first world country and we are immune to parasites and and worms and these kind of things, but we're not. Over 150 million people in the United States alone suffer from intestinal parasite infection. Isn't that crazy? So just some stats that I thought I'd give to you. So a healthy digestion is essential to maintain healthy cells. It is the foundation. And so it is very close to my heart, because years ago, in 1997, I was diagnosed with the most severest form of IBS. I was sent home. They gave me 3 colonoscopies. I was in hospital. I lost over 13 pounds. They sent me back to my home. I was as white as a sheet, and I had no energy. And I was pretty young back in those days, and very active, competitive tennis player. I was an aerobics instructress, but I had no energy. And they literally sent me home with a bag full of medication and said that I'd be medicated for the rest of my life. I want to encourage you that I sit before you today, that I am 100% well. And it's been a process. It's been years and years of walking a road, of identifying my triggers. What are those allergens? Avoiding them, healing the gut. But I can honestly testify to you today that I believe when you address the gut, when you start, following these things these tips that I'm going to give you, it is possible to see massive improvement, in my humble opinion. So I want to speak to you about the good gut bacteria, or the gastrointestinal microbiome, or biota. There's so many different words for it, but they are also known as the gut flora. It defines the microbe population living in our intestines, and it is comprised of trillions of microorganisms, over 100 trillion. Isn't that crazy? So we are actually just a walking conglomeration of bacteria, if you think about it. They can weigh up to 3 to 5 pounds in our guts, and it's the size of the liver. Isn't that incredible? You have over 1 trillion living bacteria inhabiting your gastrointestinal tract. The gut contains 10 times more microbial cells than all the human cells in the entire body. I think it deserves our attention, don't you? There are over 400 known diverse bacterial species. So you see how important it is to understand these things. So the body relies on these living enzymes inside your gut to do several things. So the first thing, the good bacteria is necessary, is because it helps to regulate metabolism. And in one of my previous webinars, I spoke about have you gained pandemic pounds? We spoke about healthy weight and weight loss, and how to maintain a healthy weight and long-term. And so we spoke about how important it is not to be metabolically compromised. And so that's a critical element for us, for our metabolisms to function properly, is to have a good supply of good gut microbiome. And so it helps for digestion, absorption of nutrients and water, appetite. It helps to regulate your appetite. So if you have an imbalance of bad bacteria in your gut, then you can crave sugar and refined carbohydrates, or you can crave fat and all those comfort sweetie treaty foods, because there's an imbalance. There may be more bad bacteria in there. And so when you are eating those refined processed carbohydrates, they break down into sugar and yeast, and they feed the bad guys, and the bad guys become stronger. And because we're not giving the good guys what they want, they become weaker, okay? The bad guys overpower the good guys. You don't want that. Secondly, they maintain electrolyte homeostasis. Thirdly, protects against infection and disease. Now, why would that be? Did you know that 75% of the immune system, it comprises up to 75% of the immune system. It regulates any toxin or foreign substance from crossing the mucosal barrier into your bloodstream. So very, very, very critical. Very, very critical. So the foundation, I want to quickly share about the foundation so that you can see how many people actually start off in life with a deficit of good gut bacteria, and you wonder why so many children have allergies today at a very young age, or food intolerances or food insensitivities. So the foundation is the following. The first 2 years of life are critical for establishing strong, healthy gut flora. So first of all, it is so important for mothers today, if they can, and many can't, but if they can, to opt for a vaginal delivery when they give birth. Because this is how fantastic it is. As that baby passes through the birth canal, it's mind-blowing to think. Generations of bacteria from the great-grandmother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother, right up to the grandmother and the mother is passed onto that baby. Isn't that amazing? And so breastfeeding, nursing, we say breastfeeding, I think you say nursing. Exposure to microorganisms via dirt, via animals, environmental agents, yes. Why is it so important for our kids to play in the dirt? Because they get exposed to all these microorganisms in the ground and in the environment, and it helps boost and bolster the immune system. I mean, I remember my firstborn, oh my gosh, as a baby, all she wanted to do, she stripped down butt naked, and she just wanted to sit in the sand, and she wanted to play. And she would have it all in her hair. I mean, she just reveled in the ground. And she was my child out of all three that had a horrific insensitivity to animals. She was allergic to animals. So what we did, unfortunately, we had to get rid of our animals for that first season. But we never kept her away from animals. But we bolstered her immune system during this time. And today she's 21 years old and she has no allergy or any insensitivity to dogs. And then I want to discuss the germ theory. What is the germ theory? Aren't bacteria bad? What comes to mind when you hear bacteria? Usually we hear bad. But some bacteria can cause harm, but others are needed to establish the immune system. So a sterile environment and perfect hygiene for infants and children does not benefit the building of the immune system like the germ theory once asserted. Your good and bad. The bad guys are the guts. The gut can harbor yeast, single cell viruses, small parasitic worms, and produce toxic substances resulting in sickness, infection, and disease. So those are the bad guys. Your good guys can help regulate your metabolism. As I said, electrolyte homeostasis, protect you from the bad bacteria and against disease. Both the good and bad compete for sites to colonize as well as for the food you ingest. So therefore, you want to eat in a way to determine who wins the battle, okay? So I'm going to speak a little bit about that just in detail, but let's look at our dietary habits. Before I continue with the dietary habits, I want to quickly do something I should have done right in the beginning, but one of the things I want to present to you today is a little tool, T-O-O-L, for those of you who don't understand my accent, that you can keep in your briefcase or in your purse or handbag, however you say it, because we don't always have the ability to control what we eat, right? It is. We go on holiday, Some places don't have kitchens. We can't cook for ourselves. We go to business meetings. We travel internationally. We travel nationally. And you have to eat the food. Sometimes that's in front of you. We can't always prepare our food, right? And so one of the tools I want to introduce to you today is a little tool that can change your life. But before, I should have done this, but anyway, it should still work. So just to show you, I cooked oatmeal. I was a little bit late in cooking the oatmeal. Then I added a bit too much water, but I cooked oatmeal. And so when you leave oatmeal, it becomes stodgy, right? So what I'm going to do is I have a digestive enzyme, and I may have touched on it last time, and I'm going to open up this digestive enzyme onto the oatmeal, into the oatmeal, and I'm going to just work it in with a fork and just cut it in, and I'm going to set it aside. So in one bowl, I've got the oats that are untouched. In the other bowl, I've added a digestive enzyme. We're going to set that aside, and I'll come back to it. Right. So dietary habits. The Western diet today eats high amounts of refined carbohydrate, sugar, processed foods. We know that. Low in fermentable fibers. Another area where the American and the Westernized diet, I would say, generally speaking, is really not doing well. So let's look at, again, some statistics. The National Cancer Institute recommends a daily intake of 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. Okay, so we mentioned last time that if you are medicated for high blood sugar, you actually need 50 grams. So it's just important to know that if you do have blood sugar issues, according to the ADA, you do need more fiber. And by significantly boosting your daily amount of fiber, you will reduce your chances of developing heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, blood sugar issues, cancer, and a host of other diet and lifestyle related conditions. However, most people in North America, their intake is less than 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. And many people on the SAD diet only consume 5 to 7 grams of fiber a day. So right there is a little homework assignment for you. And I think we may have we crisscrossed some of the stuff, but it's good to hear it again. So I want to encourage you to go and do a fiber inventory. Go and make a concerted effort to track just for one day how much fiber you are actually eating. And I'm going to encourage you how your plate must look in a bit. So what are the poisons of the palate? So they are listed. There are 8 poisons of the palate that I want to share with you today that can have a negative impact on our digestive system and cause our guts to not function properly. First of all, trans fats, white refined sugars, white refined flour, dairy, soy, fizzy drinks, I think you call them sodas, artificial sweeteners, alcohol. Those are the 8 things that really can wreak havoc with our digestive systems and our health and our guts. The next one I want to focus on is dietary toxins. I think we did speak a little bit about, when we spoke about the immune system, about preservatives, food chemicals, and artificial sweeteners again. The next one, antibiotics, medications, antacids, and chronic stress. Chronic stress can really, really give you a go with regards to building a strong gut. So we all know we can't get rid of stress. The only way to get rid of it is to go and be with our maker. So I would encourage you to find a practical way and come up with a practical solution to help you to find solutions to manage your stress. It's important to take care of you. You need the oxygen before the others do. Lack of adequate sleep, maybe overtraining for people who train too hard for where they are. Again, I think when we spoke about immune system, it's not always wise to do very rigorous training. If you're a person that's going through a little bit of adrenal fatigue, if you've gone through a lot of stress, you've got to be kind to yourself and do exercises that will enhance your health and build your adrenals and not break them down. So the intestinal lining is connected via the nerves and to the brain, in the gut via the brain. So therefore, mental stress will affect the gut. Stress causes the physiological function of the gut and can cause and changes in the composition of your microbiota. So the changes occur in nerve signaling, increased inflammation, gastric secretions, gut mobility, and the permeability of the intestinal lining, affecting its function and toxic substances that could get into the blood. So what are all the consequences of this? So all the consequences are what we call gut dysbiosis. So just to quickly give you a definition, it is a condition in which the bacteria in the gut are out of balance and the bad bacteria begin to dominate and creating symptoms of digestive disturbances. The gut becomes permeable to foreign toxins. Instead of passing through, they get into the bloodstream and the immune system goes on alert. So just some of the symptoms of that is chronic indigestion, heartburn, reflux, diarrhea, abdominal pain, cramping, constipation, fatigue, brain fog, inflammatory bowel disease, those kind of things can all be symptoms of gut dysbiosis. So it's always important to speak to your doctor if you are struggling with any of those symptoms. So I've mentioned to you all the challenges. So just short and sweet, because I do want us to speak and interact. What can we do? What can we do? Because I don't want this information just to be information. It needs to be transformational. You need to be able to go and apply a few of these things and feel transformation happening in your gut, in your brain, in your body. You need to really feel good. And it doesn't happen overnight. But when you start identifying those things that are not good for you, I'm telling you, it can be as fast as 24 to 48 hours where you can feel a difference in some form of your body. So first of all, steps to restoring gut health. Point number 1 for those who are making notes, reduce stress in your life. Okay. Second, reduce inflammation. And we can do that by reducing inflammatory foods such as sugar, refined sugars, processed sugars, shelf-stable foods, man-made foods, alcohol, caffeine, processed meats. I do want to encourage you, if you are eating processed meats, what do I mean by that? Sandwich, deli meats. I want to encourage you to make sure that they are preservative-free. No sulfites, no sulfates. No nitrites, no nitrates. The research is out on those nitrates and nitrites, sulfates and sulfites, that there is an increased risk for colorectal cancer when you are ingesting, and it's all over, you can find the statistics, those processed meats that contain those preservatives. Increase anti-inflammatory foods. What are the anti-inflammatory foods? I think we spoke about it last time. They are our live, living, raw fruits and vegetables. Whole grains, healthy fish, healthy oils. Again, I cannot tell you how critical it is for you to be consuming essential fatty acids. Your omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. Omega-6 and omega-9 we get in abundance because we eat out so much. But unfortunately, the restaurants cook these oils that they use to prepare our food to a very high temperature. And so those oils, when they become heated, become carcinogenic and can become inflammatory in the body. And they rob the body of your omega-3 fats. And so your body doesn't make omega-3. If you don't put it in, you're going to be deficient. So by eating your good omega-3 fatty acids, it helps to reduce inflammation. And so in the animal kingdom, it's all your fatty fish, tuna, mackerel, herring, sardines, trout, and salmon. And then in your vegetable kingdom, it's your pumpkin seeds, raw walnuts, hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds. So those are all things you can put in your smoothies, sprinkle on your salads, put in your little power balls, your little energy balls, or granola, raw granola bars that you make. So those are just fun ways that you can increase those in and through your diet. So let's look here. Stay hydrated. Very important that we stay hydrated. Increased stomach acid. A lot of people have low stomach acids, and there are ways that you can test that. I'm not going to go into that today. But lemon or acid in water before meals. So I never suggest that you drink water or liquid with your meals, because when we drink liquid with our meals, we dilute the digestive enzymes, okay? So if you are going to drink, it's important to drink before. You can put a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in your glass, or squeeze a fresh lemon, and so teas with dandelion, fennel, milk thistle, ginger, and beets are also very good. Incorporate prebiotic and probiotic rich foods. What do I mean by that? Well, your probiotic foods are we spoke about that, are your fermented foods, okay? And then fiber, soluble fiber helps with constipation and reduces cholesterol. And insoluble fiber satisfies the appetite, has a laxative effect, and also reduces cholesterol. And so we know that a lot of people suffer from cholesterol, and so fiber is just so important. Fiber is the material that we cannot digest. The cell wall in the plant's made of a carbohydrate called cellulose, and it's very difficult to digest, so it is excreted. An adequate amount of fiber in the diet is shown to reduce the risk of colon and rectal cancers. And another thing, if you're a man or a woman, but specifically women, and this is where I want to encourage you, is that estrogen, there's a connection with estrogen and fiber. So just at only 15 grams of fiber a day, the average American diet is low in fiber and can result in high blood estrogen. However, having a high fiber diet significantly lowers estrogen in the bloodstream. Why? Excess estrogen is excreted into the bowel, and when suffering from constipation, the estrogen in the bowel is reabsorbed. So ladies, can you see why it's so important for your stomachs to work regularly? It's very, very important, so that estrogen that we're exposed to in the chemical, they're called xenoestrogens. They are estrogens that mimic estrogen in our bodies and get attached to the estrogen receptors in our cells. And that's why it's so important. Lower levels of estrogen means less estrogen stimulation of breast tissue, which reduces the risk of breast cancer. I want to let you know that I collaborate with a hospital here in the city of South Carolina, and I have collaborated with them for 10 years. I do cooking classes for the people who go through when they get breast cancer, and the nurse navigators told me 80% of all breast cancer cases are estrogen dominant breast cancer. We need to address what we're putting through our mouths, and we need to address what's happening in our environment. Very important. According to WebMD, you are considered constipated if you have 2 or more of the following for at least 3 months. Straining during a bowel movement, more than 25% of the time. Hard stools, more than 25% of the time. And incomplete evacuation, more than 25% of the time. 2 or fewer bowel movements in a week. Wow. Okay. Did you know you can be constipated even if you just have 1 bowel movement? I shared with you last time, if you're on Instagram, you can follow the Gut Health MD, Dr. Will. He is a gastrointestinal specialist in Mount Pleasant, and he's just written his first book, Fiber Fueled, and he speaks about how important fiber is. Great recipes, great book to have, but I cannot tell you how important fiber is for a good, healthy gut. Prebiotic and probiotic foods. Your prebiotic foods are the foods that feed the healthy gut bacteria. So if you are going to use a probiotic, I would encourage you to make sure the probiotic has fructose olysaccharides, which is good food that's inside the capsule to feed the good bacteria. You also find the prebiotics in raw leeks, dandelion greens, raw jicama, that's the Mexican carrot, delicious. You can also, for anyone that wants to try the Mexican carrot, it's great if you peel it and you grate it and put it in coleslaw. You can even do it as oven-baked fries in the oven or in a air fryer. Underripe bananas, which I don't really agree with, because if you are eating a green banana, it can be mucus forming in the body. You want to eat that banana when it's riper. Asparagus, raw garlic, cooked or raw onions, raw chicory root, garlic, Jerusalem artichokes, bran, and I've said onions. Probiotic foods are homemade raw yogurt, water kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, miso, and coconut kefir or water kefir. We've spoken about a good probiotic. We need more raw living enzymes, and I'm going to bring it to a close because I want to be sensitive of our time. We live here in the South, but I know this is being streamed to other parts of America, I think the West Coast. So I don't think it's much different there. I think some parts of America are better than getting this right than others. But for me, we live in the South, and the South has a reputation of cooking their foods to death. I have never seen people that cook green beans and collards for so long. It's like a khaki. It's like a khaki green. I mean, it just cooks and cooks and cooks. So let me tell you, when you are cooking food to about 115 to 116 degrees Fahrenheit, you cook out all the enzymes, okay? And for every metabolic process in your body, you need an enzyme. And the only place you find enzymes is in live, raw, living foods, right? And so what good is it if we cook our food to death? So I want to encourage you to eat more raw food, raw fruits, raw vegetables. That's very, very important. So raw enzymes are found in raw living foods. So I wanted to quickly share with you, the more enzymes you have, the longer you live. As we age, our enzyme, how can I say, our enzymes get depleted. Let me just leave it at that. In his book on enzyme nutrition, brilliant book on enzyme nutrition, Dr. Howell clearly puts it like this: a person's lifespan is directly related to the exhaustion of their enzyme potential. And so I want to encourage you. Do you have to be a raw foodist? Absolutely not. I'm not telling you to be a raw foodist. How can I get more raw foods in my diet? Easy. Make your meals in between, your snacks in between your meals raw. Can you maybe have one of your meals raw? Can you have maybe a raw smoothie in the morning? Can you have a raw salad with a little bit of whatever you want to put on, but the majority, 68 to 80% being raw? Can you have a raw unprocessed juice once a day? So those are, can you have something raw before you eat something cooked? You have oatmeal in the morning. Well, can you have blueberries before you have the oatmeal? Yes. Those are all ways that you can increase your natural enzyme production. Can you have a salad with your meat and three? Absolutely. So those are just ways that I want to encourage you to increase your enzymes. And that's where I want to come and speak about the power of a digestive enzyme. So it is a tool that you can keep in your purse. And my rule of thumb for it, how do I know when I need a digestive enzyme? So if I have a milk intolerance, I may not be allergic to milk, but if I have a milk intolerance, then, and I don't know who's prepared my food, then I would take 2 digestive enzyme. If I'm sitting down to a plate of food that is just cooked and has animal protein on, I take a digestive enzyme. If I'm having a raw salad or smoothie, I don't take one. So what do these things do? They improve assimilation and utilization of nutrients. They aid in the digestion of fats, proteins, sugars, dairy products, snack foods, and processed foods. It supports elimination of waste. It works in both acidic and alkaline environments. And so just to quickly show you, let me show you this. So this is the oatmeal that I cooked, and it's stodgy, starting to get stodgy, right? And this is the oatmeal that I broke the digestive enzyme into. Can you see it? Isn't that incredible? So it started breaking down those oats, and if I leave it for another 2 hours, it'll just be like water. Okay, so if you look at these two, what do you think is going to pass through the colon wall easier? The whole particles of food, or when the food is properly digested and liquefied? You know the answer. Okay, where do I begin? First of all, I want to encourage you to evaluate your diet. You know, what are the main factors contributing to my gut dysbiosis if I have? Number two, identify the areas in your lifestyle that you need to work on. We all know where our weak links are. And then initiate, okay? So, and begin to plan come up with a wellness plan. So just a little bit of an action plan I want to give you if you want to write it down. The first one, as I said, is clean. So what do I mean by that? Remove the debris. Clean up your diet. Stand back. Have a look at these foods and ask yourself the question, these foods that I'm busy eating, are they benefiting me? Are they adding health, or are they breaking my health down? Secondly, feed. So clean, feed. Feed my body, feed my cells, add nutrition, real food, real whole plant-based foods. Eat foods that are going to leave an alkaline ash on your bloodstream. So those are all the foods that are grown, probably alkaline. The most alkaline foods are the green foods that grow above the ground and towards the sun. Real food. Food, photosynthesis takes place, and it's just real living food. Green leaves, most of the fruits and vegetables. And I'm not saying you can't have your pasta and your rice and your meats, but unfortunately, if I had to categorize those, the majority of us eat from the dead food section and not enough living raw fruits and vegetables. And we know that. We can definitely increase the plants in our diet. Thirdly, restore. Balance your system. Restore your good gut bacteria. Remember, it's amazing the damage that antibiotics do to our gut. Some of these antibiotics, one course, it can take you 8 months to recolonize and repopulate your good gut bacteria. So if you're medicated, in my humble opinion, you may need prophylactically, you may need a probiotic. So speak to your doctor about that. Maintain. So you're going to clean, feed, restore, and then maintain a healthy diet, healthy exercise, healthy balanced stress levels, so that you can thrive and really experience optimal health. Because when your gut is functioning, your brain functions, you have energy. It's just amazing what happens when there's balance within the gut. So I hope that helps you all.